Thank you for joining us wherever you are. This podcast episode is brought to you by the Old Ways Actual Play team. This actual play uses the Blades in the Dark rules by Evil Hat Productions. This actual play is performed by adults and contains adult themes. Our Duskwall is intended for adults, and so listeners should pay close attention to all listed content warnings. All content, including names, places, events, companies, and etc., which may bear resemblance to entities living or dead, is strictly coincidental. And now, on to the heist.
Welcome back to another episode of the Old Ways podcast. It's me, Miranda, coming at you with some Blades in the Dark action, a game that I feel like has been requested a lot. So I'm glad that we are finally playing a little bit of it. Blades in the Dark is a game about a crew of scoundrels seeking their fortunes on the haunted streets of an industrial fantasy city. And if you listen to our character creation, we've put together a crew that we have with us today. To my right.
Hi, this is John. I'll be playing the group's hound, Musket. And I'm excited for shenanigans. Thank you, Miranda.
To Musket's right.
This is Jake, and I'm playing Christoph Spanner Wayland. And we're going to have a really good time today. I can feel it.
At the end of the table.
This is Alani, otherwise known as Strix, and I am the group's cutter.
And to my left.
This is Mare. I'll be playing Irina, or known in the streets as Lark, and I will be playing our spider.
And to Lark's left.
Hi, this is Mike, and I'll be playing Jin, our slide.
And so we begin. 1,000 years ago, the sun shattered and the gates of death were broken. The cities of the Empire are protected from the horrors of the Deathlands by crackling lightning towers powered by the electroplasmic blood of demon terrors that are hunted on the Void Sea. Our crew has set out to make its mark on the city of Duskwall, one of the most important cities in the Imperium. But that's not where we find our scoundrels right now. You peer out over the inky black waters of the Void Sea. The Gallowman's daughter swaying violently with the waves, reflecting on your life decisions that have led you to this moment. Your biggest job yet, though, smuggling something back from Lockport on a Leviathan hunting ship. This is the stuff that legends are made of. Which of your contacts tipped you off about this job?
I believe that it could have been Celia, the informant broker, or the information broker, who wasn't trying to let something slip, but ended up letting it slip to Lark. And Lark jumped on that like a kid on candy and immediately went back and told the crew.
None of you are Leviathan hunters, though, so how did you manage to get aboard the ship?
I think that Strix and Musket managed to convince a couple of people to skip work, and guys that are planning to be on that ship, who were midshipmen, not necessarily the actual hunters, but guys on board who would do what Musket considers cushy jobs. Between the two of them, I think they managed to cajole enough of these people to suddenly, at the last minute, not be available for the voyage, and we were able to get some forged documents and just show up and be like, hey, we are all coincidentally able to take these people's place. Don't ask us to do too much work.
I like to think the words convince and skip in convince to skip work are in quotations.
Any time where I'm talking about my interactions with someone else, everything's in quotes.
I don't understand what you're talking about. I'm very convincing.
Mostly I did the talking and let him do the convincing.
What have you been hired to bring back to Duskwall? Drugs, medicine, something occult? Perhaps you don't even know the importance of that which you have been sent for?
I think we've been tasked with bringing something arcane in nature back. It's rumored to be sealed in a very important box.
And things were going great with the deal in Lockport until they weren't. You made it back to the ship, but only by the skin of your teeth. What went sideways at the start of this job?
We were nearly ambushed by bluecoats, who were tipped off by Chael, who is a vicious thug and who would like to make sure that I don't succeed at any job I do, even though he always fails.
At this point, you're welcome to select the load for your character, indicating how much stuff your character is carrying on them. So you don't need to pick which items you will, that includes until you actually use that item. And thankfully, things have seemed to calm down now. That is until you hear it, or more like that you feel it, because the vibrations that your ears are interpreting as sound aren't coming from the air. They're rising up through your feet, through the ship, and coming from the water. The crew springs to life, loading the harpoon needle and tubing that will hopefully soon extract the electroplasmic blood from the Leviathan below you. But the comparison of a mosquito on an animal is closer to truth than you would like to admit. And you try to wrap your head around the sheer scale of what lies below you when the sea below you begins to boil. Not boil, though. That would imply heat. But it does begin to bubble. And as the bubble pops, a sour, acrid smell fills the air, and it gets harder and harder to breathe. And I will be starting a 4-part clock for poison fumes that are engulfing the ship.
Well, that's a problem.
Only a small problem.
Yeah, I mean, only if you have to breathe, right?
At this point in the job, I will make a roll to see what kind of position you are in. Usually we do this at the start of a job, and we're kind of starting mid-job, but this roll, this engagement roll, will let us know if you are in a risky position, if you are in this kind of standard position, or if you really have a good controlled position. And I will give you guys, you get a D6 just for fun, just for luck. I will give you another D6 because you did so well kind of prepping for this and giving me kind of good answers for how the job has gone so far. And so we will see where we are with our engagement roll. So you are starting off in a kind of risky standard position is what you're going to be at, which is generally, most of the time, that's where you're going to live in life. So yeah, what would you like to do?
So how far out from port are we, or do we get?
Oh, ways.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So does this vehicle have, or does this current boat have any sort of lifeboats or rowboats or things we could use to extricate ourselves from a rather calamitous end?
Yeah, there are likely lifeboats. I don't know if they would call them lifeboats, because being on the void sea in a tiny boat, I think we have who got swallowed by the whale? Jonah? Was it Jonah?
Yes.
You think we got a Jonah and a demon situation in that case?
Oh.
As you know, Leviathans are demons that live in the sea, for which we extract blood to power everything in our lives.
Yeah. Okay. So where's the source of this toxic, poisonous gas coming from?
You peer over the side of the ship and see the glinting of scales below you. And you look out to try to understand the scale of this, and it is massive. The creature below you that kind of illuminates through this inky black water, you can see it off in the distance. It is absolute. I can't over explain the scale of this thing below you. When I say you are a mosquito on a cow, essentially, that's what you're dealing with here. And at that point, tentacles begin to come up out of the water and wrap around the ship. But instead of these suction cups like we would be used to seeing, like a large squid in the water or things like that, there are these spiny barbs that dig in to the steel of the Gallowman's daughter.
Okay. So my first thought would be to secure the box, because we have to make a hasty exit, even if it's a dinghy or whatever. This boat won't last very long, and so we need to get off.
While Jin is doing that, Musket's going to be running into the galley to get he knows there's oil in the galley, and he knows that oil is flammable, And he's got an idea that maybe we can slow down the gas by burning some of it. He's like, no, it might not work. However, it also might work. And he's just like, yeah, this is it's a workable solution for now. Who knows? Maybe the flash explosion will get rid of the tentacles. I don't fucking know.
I think the science behind it is solid. A chemical reaction could convert that gas into something else that's maybe more breathable. So that is your intended action.
That's my course, yeah.
Okay. And what skill will you be using for that?
Now, to find the oil, I think, is probably pretty easy in the kitchen. So I guess for carrying it without spilling it, throwing it, and setting it on fire without setting myself on fire, I'm thinking that would probably be finesse.
That feels accurate. I'm fine with that. Really, this is a game where players, you state your intended action, and then you tell me what skill you're going to use, because any of these skills could apply to that. So finesse sounds perfectly good for me. And like I said before, I believe you're at a risky standard position. So you would get a normal effect from this, but it is a risky action that you are taking.
Yeah.
And so if you would like to roll for that, you are welcome to do so.
Bonus dice, 0?
Yeah, so bonus dice, John, if you would like to take a devil's bargain or push yourself to give yourself an extra die, you are welcome to do so. Pushing yourself will be an exchange of stress for an extra dice. A devil's bargain will be a exchange of a bonus die for something that will absolutely happen. And it's never good.
No, of course not. It's a devil's bargain. It's not benign entities bargain. Oh yeah, I'll do this and it'll be fine. Don't worry about it. I would like to push myself.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is there's a large kind of crock pot in the galley, and I am just going to fill it with oil, as much flammable liquid as I can. And I'm running around carrying that on fire to try and maximize my chances of success.
Fantastic. So you'll take 2 stress for that, so you can mark that on your character sheet below your vice.
Yep.
And that will give you a bonus die.
3 and a 1.
Oh, John.
Yeah. It's look, at least we know what the risks of carrying around open containers of burning oil are.
Yeah. Things go badly, with the highest score being a 3. And you are running upstairs with this vat of oil, and it's this flaming vat of oil, and it begins to spill on you and spill onto the ship as well.
Oh God, it's going to be so slippery.
And I'm going to give John the level 1 harm of a singed. And unless you want to shrug that off, John, you are welcome to do so.
No, I'm happy to be singed. I think it makes sense.
Yeah, you've got some burns on you from this oil, and also because you rolled so poorly, the ship, like you said, is very slippery. It has maybe begun to catch on fire in some spots as well.
Who could have foreseen this? All I can tell you is I had a solid plan.
I would love to reward your creative thinking, but unfortunately, I will be punishing your bad roll.
John, what have I told you about trying?
Men on the ship have begun to take up arms against these tentacles, and you see some of them pulling out knives and swords and begin to try to cut them off as much as they possibly can. Some of them have these like plasma torches, these arcane implements that they are trying to use to remove. Even a single barb from one of these could catch a good price on the market, but truly they are trying to get away. The captain has also sent some men down to the ship's engine to try to get it to try to increase the power to see if they can pull away from this sea demon. Mike, you're interested in securing the package?
Yeah, I am interested in securing the package, but also I have a plan perhaps that may assist us with with getting free of this thing. I think the reason why we're being, in a way, jostled about, one might say prodded at, is because the creature below senses the mystical powers within this box. And so what I would like to do is I would like to try to sort of create a diversion, and I'd like to use a piece of equipment that I just happen to have, which would be arcane implements.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would like to take the box in one hand, right? Just carefully, but then gather up some of the other arcane accoutrement, which is there, and then go to the deck of the ship and create essentially a signal flare that would push this thing off of our trail. I want to play fetch with the big lizard thing in the water.
Yeah, you are welcome to attempt that. What skill will you be using?
Okay, so I think what this amalgamation of arcane material will do is sort of sway its judgment about what it should be attacking.
Okay, that sounds good to me.
And then my position is risky.
It is risky.
And then as far as effect,
I will say that you are on to something. So we'll say that you can get a great effect with this if you are able to accomplish that. Would you like to push yourself or take a devil's bargain? Or someone can also assist?
I mean, the crew would know that Jin has literally no idea about arcane materials. And so he is likely he's probably entered sort of a goblin mode where we're just trying to save our lives. And if it means that he could potentially turn green or blow up with the stuff in hand, he won't know any better.
I think I will try to help him out. Use a little tinker.
Okay. Yeah, that will cost you 1 stress.
Fine.
1 stress for Spanner, which isn't too bad, but that does give you a bonus die.
Okay.
Can more than one person assist on a task if they do a different thing?
Only 1 person may assist.
I'll take my bonus die. 4, 2, 3. That's probably not great.
4 is actually okay. In a risky situation, on a 4, you do it, but there is a consequence. Either you suffer harm, a complication occurs, you have reduced effect, or you end up in a desperate position.
I think Jin probably something terrible happens to him. Like when the harpoon gun, when he fires it, having like no idea how to fire proper range weaponry, he probably gets launched back like into the boat or into the wall. He probably hurts himself in some fashion.
Cool. We will call your complication then winded. So you'll take a level 1 harm of winded. And this does serve as a distraction for the Leviathan below you. But this thing is massive and it can easily reach this thing, but it begins to, you see the tentacles kind of come up out of the water and begin to turn it around and manipulate it as if it's inspecting it, and it kind of dips itself into kind of like how an octopus can compress its body down, and it starts to flow through the cracks and crevices of this device. And that will take off 3 of the 6-part clock that is ripping tentacles lined with barbs. You are still dealing with poison fumes. Now you are welcome to, if any of you would like, there is a feature or rule in Blades in the Dark that you can have flashbacks. So if you would like to have acquired something while you were in Lockport, or stored something on the ship, or made some sort of provisioning, we could do a flashback to say that you have done that or prepared in some way. Otherwise, you're welcome to continue to come up with creative ways to deal with this demon monster.
I will be finding the nearest chunk of sailcloth, and I will cut it into large, wide strips, and I will be dunking it in a nearby water barrel and tossing the wet claws to the people on my crew and saying, put that on. Easier to breathe that way.
I love that. What skill are you using?
Well, if I want to just worry about cutting up the cloth into decent-sized pieces, I'd probably be using Wreck.
And normally, like, this is an easy action, so I would just let it happen. But you're also breathing poison fumes and being attacked by barbed tentacles. So it does feel like there is some amount of obstacle in your way, I am totally fine with wreck. Go for it. You can roll it. Let me know if you want any bonuses.
I would like to push myself just so I get the extra die.
Yeah, take 2 stress and you can push yourself.
And that's a 6 and a 3.
Ooh, a 6 is very good. You do it. No complications. You are able to rip up these. You find a sailcloth, you tear them into strips, and you start dispersing them amongst the crew so that they can fully fight back, fully harness the power of the crew to fight back without these gasping, choking breaths from the poison fumes.
I'm helping.
You are helping, yes.
So Lark isn't exactly built for fighting.
Mm-hmm.
So Lark, though, is immediately looking around. Are there life rafts on this ship?
Yeah.
Like little lifeboats. Okay. Lark is seeing the others at work, particularly because our slide has control of the device, of the artifact that we're after, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. So, seeing that, Lark is very much like, well, if we can get away, we can, and is making her way to, like, prep one of the life rafts subtly and just kind of scooting us over there, so while everyone else is fighting, just so that when it's time to go, we can.
Okay. I'll not call a roll for prepping a life raft because it's another one that's fairly straightforward, but you are welcome to do so.
Yeah, because I just I can. Like, if you're going to just let me do it, I'll happily just take that and not risk the roll. Like, yeah, cool. Yeah, 100% I accept. So yeah, she's over there working on that and will help to navigate it when the time comes. But she's watching intently. She has one of the little wet cloths on her face. And yeah, so that's just kind of hunkered down in the boat, just kind of waving at the others like, come on, let's go.
When I get the chance, I'll stand up.
Mm-hmm.
Try to make my way somewhere with the box.
Okay.
Trying to get to the boat that has been, found for us. Even though I'm sort of hoping that we don't have to use the life raft, I'm probably hedging my bets and then grabbing, a piece of sailcloth to wrap around my face because I don't want to get poisoned.
I will say there are probably kind of 2 paths that the crew can take. One would be to get on the life raft and take to the seas for yourself and see if you can make it back to port. The other would be to stay on the ship and continue to fight off the tentacles and the poison fumes, of which the tentacles, you are about halfway done with that clock. It was a 6-part clock, you've done 3. And the poison fumes is a 4-part clock, and you've done 3 on that as well. So that's about where you're at with those threats. And I am happy for the crew to do either of those. Take either of those courses of action.
I think now that I've burnt myself and the fumes are starting to, clearly billow around me, I'm just like, well, I know when to quit. And I am going to make my way over to the boat, to our little escape hatch. There's no time to get anything from below decks, I think. It's just going to be just get while the getting is good.
All right, so group's consensus then is life raft it, risk it.
I am worried about the gas being heavier than air, so there's more of it down on the water, to be honest. That is a concern of mine. But I'm pretty sure I'm going to be down in the water if this thing rips this boat apart anyway. So, best I can think of is to just fucking run.
Yeah, I'm worried as well about the size of the life raft versus the size of the actual boat. So I'm probably sitting there on the edge, watching folks either climb in or gesture for us to get in. And I'm thinking, and I look around and say, is there no other option?
Lark is just wondering, are there any other defenses set up on this boat, right? Because at this point, she's seeing sailors trying to poke at the things.
Mm-hmm.
And
they're poking with very good weapons, though.
Yeah.
So
I guess part of her is just questioning, is this going to work? Is it just going to stop, or is it just going to make it angry? She's no Leviathan expert by any means. Is there any sort of way she could examine to see, like, are the poisons come? You said the poisons are coming up from the water itself, but they're not coming out of the tentacles themselves or anything, right?
No.
Okay. I'm just trying to see if there's some sort of observation roll that she could make to see, because the poison right now seems to be the biggest of the issues. If the crew is taking care of the tentacles, is there any way to find out something else about this poison?
Yeah. Why don't you make a fortune roll?
What?
The fortune roll is just kind of a generic, not doing a skill necessarily, but trying to think on your feet.
That's a 2.
It's not good.
There's no pushing a fortune roll or anything?
No, there's all of the sort of pushing yourself and devil's bargain happens before the roll in this game.
Okay.
And you haven't heard or read or learned anything about this before, but I will give you that maybe in a history book or when you're prepping for this trip, you know that sometimes Leviathans themselves can breathe, exhale. The fumes are not things that can be consumed by human bodies. Your body will reject them. So this is essentially the breath of the Leviathan coming up out of the water. Now, you didn't know you were going to be on a Leviathan ship. So if you wanted to flash back to you prepping in any way or preparing any weapons or any anti-Leviathan defensive measures on your person, it would be a good time to use a flashback for that. Either arcane implements or physical implements or anything like that. You're welcome to do so.
Hey, John, what's the chance that Musket has quite literally a really big fucking gun?
I mean, he's got a long gun.
No, but I mean something special that perhaps we picked up just in case. You know, something that has like a reinforced barrel and the rifling is just so... And it maybe takes one or two fairly strong lads to cock the hammer back.
Electroplasmic bullets.
I do happen to have some electroplasmic ammunition and a big gun that is chambered for that electroplasmic ammunition. Yeah, he's just like, all right, I have to go back down into the hold. He's just like runs, but because we've been masquerading as like slightly better than normal sailors, we don't have to go all the way down to the ship's crew, to the crew quarters. It's a short run, and he knows the position of the ship, the layout of the ship fairly well at this point, so Musket gets there in almost no time. These aren't the standard ones that we've been getting here in Duskfall. These are a little bit different. It's regional variation. He had to go talk to a little old man who had a very strange little shop full of different bullets that vibrated at frequencies. And he staggers back onto the deck with his long rifle. It's a bolt action, and he chambers around, and he's just...
Musket runs downstairs and flips over his cot.
Yeah, absolutely. He's a smuggler. He can't help it. He's been stowing things away on the ship in case someone came around looking. But yeah, he does basically flip things over, and he knows where each of these parts is because this is his rifle, this is his gun. There are many like it, but this one is his. And he's just doing that. He's saying that mantra as he's putting it together and just like checking the action. Staggers back onto the deck, slightly wild-eyed. He's got this vibrating bullet in his hand. And that will use 3 of my items, Miranda.
Okay. Yeah.
You guys would be very familiar with this rifle. It is the one that he has had as long as you've known him, and it's got lots of custom little bits he's done here and there to tinker it to make it a little bit better for him. He's gotten other people to do work on it so that it'll be just like the barrel's not stock. It's got a tighter rifling, but yeah, he does stagger onto deck. And he figures, I mean, it's a demon, so the electroplasmic ammunition should be the right type. We're going to find out.
Yeah, they say fight demon blood with demon blood.
Yeah, that's what they say. And I'm going to shoot a tentacle.
Okay, yeah. Would you like to push yourself or take a devil's bargain?
I'm going to push myself. He goes into, to counteract the swaying of the deck, he stops breathing for a little bit longer than maybe he should, just to try and remove his own lung expansion from the equation. And I think that's what's going to give him the 2 stress, just that he's not breathing.
And it sounded like Jin might be attempting to help or assist you as well.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be 1 stress for Jin and an extra die for Musket.
I would argue that this is a hunt.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, this is what I do. 5, 6, 2, and 3.
On a 5 is another, you do it, but there's a consequence. So you are able to shoot through this tentacle. The electroplasmic bullet rips through it, but there is a consequence. And I'm going to say the consequence is that your gun has jammed and you won't be able to fire another bullet. Like, this thing was not built for these bullets. Like, these were, yeah. And so firing them is kind of hit or miss, and you shoot this thing, it tears through a tentacle, but your gun has jammed, unless you would like to shrug that off.
I'm going to try and shrug that off.
So you can shrug off that consequence. I would say in this case that would use your insight for you to quickly see that this is going to happen and make the necessary adjustments. So what you will do is click on insight.
Yep.
And you will roll that to resist the consequence.
Oh.
That's fantastic, actually, because when you resist a consequence, you roll either insight, prowess, and you suffer 6 stress minus the highest die result. And John rolled a 1 and a 6. So John is able to resist and not take any stress from this.
Yeah, I think that's purely because it's Musket and it's his gun. He's just like, oh yeah, no, there's a trick to using this fucking stupid demon blood bullet.
So yeah, you actually are down to just 1 little clock tick left on these tentacles. They may soon release the ship.
I shall remove this. I see him put a large feckin' hole in a tentacle. I will take the shovel that I carry with me off my back, and I will dig that shovel into the hole and see how much of the actual tentacle itself I can sever.
Brute force with a shovel in the middle of this massive tentacle. What skill will you be using, Strix?
That'll be a skirmish roll. And I am not to be trifled with, so I can do things that are almost superhuman. So I am going to see if I can put this shovel point first through the entire tentacle. Now, it won't sever it in half, but it will go all the way into to where I will hear the clang of steel when I hit the point of my shovel on the deck.
I like this. Go ahead and roll it if you would like to push yourself or take a devil's bargain. Or if someone is helping you, they can do so now.
I'll take a devil's bargain if you got one.
Oh boy, do I ever. You are getting into close combat with this demon tentacle. And I think that as you shove your shovel through the tentacle, that electroplasmic blood, there's going to be a lot of spray in your face. And some of it's going to get in your mouth, some of it's going to get in your nose, and some of it's going to get in your eyes, which will likely have some lasting consequences down the road. So you can do that for a +1 die.
So that's a 3, 3, 5, and a 2.
A 5 is pretty good. You do it, but there's a consequence. So you are able to further injure and sever this tentacle. In fact, you maybe even catch this demon's attention a little bit, as you are not to be trifled with, and push yourself to perform this physical force that verges on superhuman. And the tentacle releases itself, but not before one of the barbs digs into you. And so I will say that our cutter Strix is going to have this like a level 1 harm of poisoned, because the barbs, as they dig into you, secrete this waxy substance that instantly burns your skin. Unless you would like to shrug that off.
I'll shrug it off.
Okay, you can shrug it off. I believe that will be a prowess to shrug it off. So you'll just click on prowess. There you go. So you will take 1 stress to shrug it off, and then you don't have to mark poisoned on your sheet.
Excellent.
And the Leviathan releases the ship. Not fully, but enough so that the engine crew can get the ship moving. And between that and the distraction that Jin has hurled out into the sea, you are able to start to pull away from this Leviathan. The ship is not unscathed. The crew immediately begins to make repairs to the ship, as a lot of pieces have been ripped down the side. These barbs were sharp enough to pull through the steel. It has been ripped open, but you believe that the ship is going to make it out, and everyone will make it out alive.
Fantastic.
And you travel for several more days, reflecting on this time, before you pull into port at Duskwall and disembark the ship with the item that you have retrieved.
Fantastic. Yeah, so probably get back to the lair as quickly as possible.
You head back to the lair to patch yourselves up. Are you taking this device with you? Are you taking it to your contact that kind of tipped you off on this job? Are you delivering it to the person that hired you, which I will say was Orlin Haig, who is a Hive agent, works for the Hive.
I know Musket would be advocating for us getting rid of this damn thing as soon as fucking possible. He thinks it's very unlucky and it's brought nothing but bad news. The best we can do is get rid of it and get paid.
Oh, absolutely.
And the Hive likes us, so, you know.
Yeah, that was my next question, was to make sure the Hive likes us, and that, you know, if we're going there a little beaten up and bruised, that's not going to prove to be an opportunity for any other folks who happen to be there.
Yes, they do have a positive opinion of you, so that would not be an issue.
Okay, yeah, then let's offload it, right?
Yeah, let's just get rid of this bad boy as soon as possible.
Where is it that you meet up with Orlin Haig?
Oh, I think we should absolutely use the tavern as sort of our home away from home ground.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe upstairs amongst the balcony seats if there are curtains there for perhaps concerning guests.
You show up and you have the goods with you. Orlin shows up right on time as expected, and he is a fairly well-dressed man, clean cut, like bald, no facial hair. He has eyebrows, but no facial hair otherwise. He looks very clean. These are like dirty, sooty, grimdark streets of Duskwall, and this man is clean. He is well dressed. He is in a suit and a tie. You would think that he would stick out, but people seem to intentionally pay him no notice. My friends, you made it back.
Surprised?
Not at all. I mean, your reputation precedes you. I'm not going to lie. I did think that this was maybe more of a mission that you can handle, but I'm glad to see that you made it back, and you made it back with the package as well.
Yes, we've got.
Can I see it?
In due time. Drinks first, right? We're all friends here.
Oh, absolutely. The first round's on me. I'm just so happy to see you back.
Of course. I'll go and gather the drinks. I sort of get up from the chair and then nod to Musket to sit in the chair that I was sitting in.
As soon as he's up, Musket's down.
Tell them to put it on my tab.
Of course. I hustle out downstairs and then acquire some libations for the crew and guest of honor.
How was the job? Uneventful, I hope.
No, it was pretty eventful. Have you ever fought a Leviathan?
Oh, no, I have others to do that for me.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. It's not a future career path for me. I'm not built for that.
Oh, well, I do have your payment. And he sets on the table, your payment for this is 6 coin, which is decent loot.
It's not actually 6 coins. It is 6 coin worth of coins.
It is 6 coin worth of coins, and 6 coin is what is considered to be a standard score worth of coin. But that's only half of what I have to offer you. If you're interested in the other half of the job, you seem to have proven yourself. I don't think the Hive would mind me employing you further.
I come back with the drinks.
Yeah, and I get out of the chair as soon as he's back, and he's just like, take my drink and stand like a little bit back behind the 2 faces. He's just like, the talking is exhausting. I don't.
So do the other jobs, they don't involve us going on any more Leviathan ships, do they?
Oh, no, absolutely not. But
Oh, okay, good.
this is not the final destination for this item.
All right, where's it headed?
Well, you see, we haven't been on the best of terms with Lord Skurlock. Unfortunately, I thought we were doing better, but it would prove that he's taken some actions that directly go against what our people are doing, and I need this package delivered to him inside his manor, preferably. But he won't know that you're delivering it.
May I use either consort to know about connections from my heritage as a noble? See if I know a little more information about this Lord Skurlock.
Mm-hmm.
What would you say this position would be? This is a controlled position?
Really, this could be a fortune roll. You should, on the drop down there should be an option for fortune as well. Because you're not risking anything. And it won't have a negative impact, but it will be like how much information I get. Lord Skurlock is a noble, ancient noble. You know him to be obsessed with arcane secrets. He's been alive a long time.
Like an inhuman an abnormal amount of long time? Or just he's the old rickety kind of guy?
A pretty long time, yeah, like an immortal long amount of time.
Oh, okay.
Like enough that he himself is ancient, not just his family's seat.
Mm-hmm.
He's the ancient. Okay, gotcha.
So, like, Musket's kind of like been listening. Like, his mind has actually been thinking about how he wants to go and gamble because he's still kind of stressed out from the fucking tentacles and like the flashbacks of the oil kind of slopping onto his chest and splashing onto his face, and he's like, But he like perks up and he's like, wait. He won't know we're coming?
Well, you're not delivering it to him as much as delivering it to his house.
And Musket like holds up a finger and he's like, and am I correct in assuming this isn't the type of delivery where we can just knock on the door and say, ooh, we have a package for your master?
What fun would that be?
Oh, I don't think you want them to know that you're the ones delivering it.
This isn't a present that they're going to like, is it?
Oh, no, it's not.
Uh-huh.
Is this the kind of present that goes boom?
It can.
The enthusiasm.
But you've got it here so far. And it's fine. He pats the case, kind of rough.
And Musket's just like, does it have to go to a specific room in his house, or...
As long as you can get it past the imposing gates and make sure that Skurlock is there when the package is delivered, it'll be fine. Those are really the only 2 requirements. I understand if you're hesitant, you want to think about it further. consult each other, but this is a job. There are other jobs, I'm sure, awaiting you on the streets of Duskwall. This is but one opportunity that I am putting forth for you.
Musket knows that we're not really in a position to maybe refuse this. He's like, well, work is work. I just wanted to confirm that you wanted me to break into the house of a possibly immortal, old, angry, bitter bastard.
Yeah, to be honest, I like the idea of popping this box into some fancy lad's house and watching it all go kaboom.
Well, do you and your informants, if this is someone that you're trying to get taken out, apparently, do you know if he's even there? Or is that on us too to try and sort out? Is he in town? He doesn't have a lunch date when we're dropping it off.
Well, I mean, Lord Skurlock doesn't live at Skurlock Manor. That's the family home. He resides elsewhere, though he is there sometimes. I mean, this is what I would be hiring you for. And if I wanted him dead, I would hire an assassin. This is just think of this as a fun back and forth that we have with him. Just a harmless little prank.
It sounds like it'll be a hoot.
All right, I'm in. What about you guys?
He just kind of makes a grunting noise, just like a,
Well, I am happy to leave this package, and he'll pat it a few more times kind of hard, here with you then. And don't worry, I'll know when the job's complete. And I know where the package will be in the meantime.
In our capable hands. Oh, when is delivery?
Oh, I trust that you shouldn't take too long. I know that there are some aspects that you, I'm sure, will need to figure out, such as how to get past the gates of his house and making sure that he's there. But aside from that, that is up to you. I mean, I would like it, at least I'm sure that you can do it within a fortnight. That should be plenty of time, right?
I'm sure it would be. And how much did you say again that we'd be being paid for this second leg?
Oh, that was so half of the payment of the full job. So you did the first half of the job and I gave you 6. I would be willing to put another 6 in your hands for finishing the job.
I sort of turn back to the crew and take a sip of the ale that I've procured. 6, huh? What were you saying again, Musket, about an immortal lord and...
the type of guy that only reason he's alive is because he doesn't let other people kill him first. Probably has a lot of grudges. Probably holds them.
And on top of that, would be a little riskier, a little bit more breaking, entering, getting into there by some way or another. The risk that that would be quite a bit of jail time. Seems like the risk is a little bit higher. Almost more risky than fighting off a Leviathan.
I chuckle at jail time when Lark says jail time.
Miss, you don't look like you've served a day of jail time in your life.
Barely an hour.
Not at an hour at a time, at least, but...
She was once in a room close to a jail.
I was behind bars.
Yes, paying us visits. We were there. We remember.
And you got out eventually.
Yes, eventually. Do you know what they serve for food there? We won't mention it here. It's not fit even for recounting.
Oh, by the way, I was meaning to ask, just for our records, is there a name that you go by?
What, you're keeping records?
Well, I mean, everyone keeps records in Duskwall, but it would just be easier if you, as a group, as a crew, had a name, rather than when I go back, I say, oh, we've hired Musket and Spanner and Strix and Larkin and Jin to do this job again. I can just say we've hired blank, the Hive, that's us. That's not your name. That's our name.
Out of character, I have a perfect suggestion.
Make it.
Given the circumstances of our becoming this kind of crew, the fact that we do nautical stuff, are we not the press gang?
Yes.
It's very fitting. Remember, no press is bad press.
Is that what you'd like me to call you then?
Yeah, I think that works. The press gang.
Now then, so we've settled on payment, and as soon as I see that the job has been carried out, we can meet again and I will complete the rest of your payment.
Splendid. I raise a glass in toast to our future successes.
You will drink to that.
And Musket joins in. Tip lifts the little glass of dark liquid that he's been drinking, like a little sherry snifter.
Lark does the same, but with like wine that's basically just juice, but you can like smell how sweet it is from across the table, and just takes a little sip of it.
So what we will do then, as we kind of wind down this job and get ready for the next job, you do have a period of time to plan for that job. But before we do that, I think that we could all use a little bit of downtime. So we will do our downtime activities and go through the things that you get and things that happen between scores. We will call these two separate scores that we're doing, even though really they're related. First is the payoff, which you've already received your coin from the hive. You also will earn 2 rep by default. And I will say, because you are doing a score for the hive, which is a higher level group than you, I will give your crew an additional rep. So that gives us 3 rep points for the press gang, which is nice. In addition to that, though, after every score or conflict, you take some heat. You get 1 heat for a high profile or well-connected target. If the situation happened on hostile turf, that's an extra heat. If you're at war, that's another heat. And if killing was involved, that's 2 more heat. We kind of only did part of this job, and some of it is based on how you managed the situation. I would say that this was, or I'll kind of let you guys argue, would you say this job that we kind of described and then went through the second half of was smooth and quiet, low exposure, contained, which is standard exposure, loud and chaotic, or wild, devastating exposure? I think those last 2 might be the next job.
I feel like, yeah. I feel like that's probably going to be how that goes, just because of how things go.
I think the first half was probably fairly standard. It would have been more loud, explosives, etc., if it had been closer to civilization, but only so many people saw what actually happened, and those people can either be bought off or killed.
I would say that, yeah, contained or whatever the lower one was, because it seemed that being aboard a ship that's getting attacked by Leviathans is probably a little more standard than one would hope in this world. So
I think we were just being members of the crew by fighting off the Leviathans. We didn't stand out except for perhaps the stupidity of running around with an open carrier of oil while it's on fire.
I'm happy to call it smooth and quiet, which is 0 heat. And while you don't already have a wanted level, for the fun of the game, because what happens is you get a number of heat, 8 heat, and then you get a wanted level, and then that's when you start rolling. I'm going to say that you are a pre-established gang and we're kind of in the middle of things. I will say you already have 1 wanted level so that we can kind of go through these. Because they know you, you're known about town. You're not like a brand new gang. You've done some jobs. You have a little bit of reputation.
Yeah, somebody at the dock tells some blue coat that we're back in town, gets like a sliver of coin.
Yes. So I rolled a 1, which is gang trouble or the usual suspects. Would you rather have one of your gangs or cohort or person that's involved with you cause trouble in your name, or for the blue coats to grab someone from the periphery of your crew, maybe one of your vice purveyors or a friend or enemy gets taken in and questioned about you?
Maybe one of our cohort shoots his mouth off in a tavern.
Okay, yeah, I like that. So we'll call that gang trouble. So one of your cohorts starts shooting their mouth off. Your option is to make an example of them or face reprisals from the party that they are wronging. So whoever they are trying to boast in front of at this bar is pretty pissed off. They probably get into a fight because this guy's just a total loudmouth. I mean, I think we know the type. He's bragging, he's a loudmouth, he's trying to show off when he should just be keeping his mouth shut. It causes too much trouble. He ends up getting into a fight It might even be probably at your tavern that you spend so much time on. While you were gone, you're gone on this fucking Leviathan ship, and this asshole is spreading your names around town, saying he works with you, that he's associated with you, and getting into fights on your behalf. Are you going to make an example of that person, or perhaps face reprisals from the other side? Which I'll say the person that he's getting into it with is someone from the Crows, which is a level 2 gang. They're not that much higher above you, but if you do not punish this person,
it'd be bad for us. So I'd like to take a moment and, like, do we think this guy that claims to be one of us is, like, just, how high up our ladder do we think he is? I think he's pretty low down.
Like an annoying friend that just hangs
I think he's taking
you.
credit for, like, past gigs we've done.
Yeah, he's absolutely somebody's cousin that needs to shut their fucking mouth.
Like, we've got a guy who has to bring his cousin along because his mother keeps telling him to. Because, no, you got to spend time with him. He's your cousin. He's a good boy. He just doesn't have many friends.
I think shackling him to a crow's nest would be a fine punishment.
I was gonna say, I think since he's not, like, core group, like, I think we're the core of the gang, and then we've got, like, periphery around us. He's not even periphery. He's not, like, anyone that Musket gives a shit about. So he's like, it's not like it's not like there's any benefit to fucking protecting this guy, except maybe we keep Danny happy because he's Danny's cousin. I say we make an example out of him, and that it encourages other people to not run their mouths, because being smugglers, we do not make money from from running our mouths.
Yeah, the other part of this is that it shows the Crows that we mean to be professionals.
Yeah, exactly. That we don't want to step on anybody's toes. We're just here to do business. So yeah, I say we make an example of the guy.
Agreed.
So you punish the cousin.
Punish Danny's cousin, yeah.
Punish Danny's cousin, and the Crows respect that, and so you gain some status with them for putting this guy in their place. And then the last part of this kind of like in between section is downtime, and sometimes in games we'll play out more of the downtime and do kind of more free play during that, and sometimes you do it just as the like game mechanic is. And we're going to kind of wrap up this episode soon, so we'll go through the game mechanic, and then as we plan our next heist, we'll get more into that play interaction stuff. But for downtime, just so everyone kind of knows what that is, during in between jobs, you can pursue 2 downtime activities, including acquiring an asset, working on a long-term project, recovering, reducing heat on your crew, training, or indulging your vice. So you can do 2 things. If you do not indulge your vice, you take stress, but indulging your vice is how you reduce your stress. So you are all welcome to pick 2, and we'll try to go in order like we have in the past. John, what would Musket be doing during his downtime?
During his downtime, Musket is going to be getting in contact with... There's a small gunsmith that he knows in the city. They only do, like, precision work, etc., etc. You know, like, only custom jobs.
Mm-hmm.
He wants to go and talk to them about how can he get, like, a reinforced barrel for the gun so that it can handle the electroplasmic ammunition. Because he's like, I was really worried that it was going to, that I was going to get overheating when I was firing, blah, blah, blah. So that's one thing. And the other thing is I'm going to indulge my vice of gambling.
So to acquire this asset, go ahead and roll the crew's tier. And because you are using a contact, you get a +1d die for that.
Nice.
Yes, so you are able to get a standard tier 1 reinforcement for your gun.
Mm-hmm.
And you also want to indulge your vice, correct?
Mm-hmm. Gotta meet up with Melvik and explain to him how I got these new burns. And, roll some dice, play some cards.
Yeah, so you remove 6 stress, which unfortunately you only have 4, so you overindulge your vice.
Oh no! Whoops.
I'm going to give you a choice, John. that you either brag about your exploits while you're drinking and gambling and gain 2 more heat, or you're tapped out and your current purveyor cuts you off.
Oh, I think in the heat of the moment, he's absolutely going to talk too loudly. Even though I gave Danny's cousin shit for it, at least I did the things I'm bragging about. He's like, yeah, so anyway, I shot the fucking Leviathan. Now, the reason we were even on the ship is because we were over stealing some arcane thing from over in blah, blah, blah. And yeah, he's basically just bragging to Melvick just a bit too loudly, and he forgets there's other people at the table.
So 2 more heat for you, for the crew. Yep. Next up is our leech, Spanner, is Jake still with us? We've lost Spanner, unfortunately. Probably off.
I think he's just gone indulging.
Yes, indulging his vice. That's the most likely thing here. So we'll go to Strix, our cutter.
Well, he plans to indulge himself by seeing what sort of creativity he can bribe his local street artist into. And then, like I said, he likes him to do public things and then go the next day and see the consternation that happens with the bluecoats and the finer people, because it pleases him tremendously when they're discomforted.
So you are welcome to indulge your vice. It is right below vice/purveyor on your character sheet. 3. So you clear 3 stress, which is exactly how many you could clear before overindulging. So good job there. What other activity would you like to do, Strix?
I'll be honest with you, I can't really think of anything I absolutely want to do or need to do right now.
Then I would say train.
Yeah, just train.
Just train. And so is there a particular skill that you want to train in? As smugglers, you do train faster in prowess if you would like to do that, but you gain +1 XP for an attribute in your play workbook to work towards getting upgrades. So I would say train. Is there any particular one that you would like to train in?
So that would probably be training my resolve.
Okay, yep. So you can train your resolve. So you'll get a +1 XP. So now you have 1. And then Lark, what would our spider be doing?
The first thing that she will want to do is work on the long-term project, which in this case would be, I guess, preparing for the next step in this adventure.
Okay.
In particular, using whatever connections and such that she has to what have we heard of, Lord Skurlock? He has another place he stays, like what have been his routines? What has been kind of the murmuring among the nobles, anything along those lines. So just kind of like in the equivalent in those heist movies, when they're watching like for how many times the security guard goes around, does he have regular deliveries come to his place? What are the routines of his staff, etc.?
So you want to work on some recon, which you are welcome to do so. Which skill will you be using?
I will be using Consort to do so, where I'm going to be using connections from heritage background, friends, rivals to gain resource information on people and places.
You're going to be asking questions. Have your servants talk to his servants, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. Perfect.
Yeah, particularly, especially that way it's not just me, but Jenna, my servant, as well. Just kind of that way I can do it like over tea with the ladies, just like, is he still away? Does he have a summer place? Blah, blah, blah. That stuff. Obviously not this world, but the vibe. And then the servants, because the servants talk as well. So that would be the long-term project part as my first.
Yep, so go ahead and roll that.
And that'll be rolling Consort. It's a 2 and a 3.
Okay, so you will get a tiny bit of information, not a ton of information, and I can kind of give it to you as you guys are doing planning. It will help with your engagement roll. I'll give you an extra die.
Okay.
And I will say that you hear rumors of that Lord Skurlock doesn't eat food, and that he has a high need for servants, that he hires them, and then no one wants to work for him, but they kind of get forced to due to their circumstances, and that there's a chance that if you get hired by Lord Skurlock, that no one will see you again.
Awesome and terrifying. So that's my first action.
Mhm.
I have no stress built up at this time, but I do believe that in all of her socializing and whatnot, she has probably heard some talk of people bragging about Leviathan fights. Wonder who that could be. So her second action will be to attempt to reduce heat. Oh no, I just heard that was just some silliness. You know, someone trying to make themselves sound good. I read that in a book, one of the Penny Dreadfuls that came out recently. It was really honestly very, like, over dramatic. I wouldn't believe anything like that is actually happening, especially not with some of the lowlifes from around here.
And what skill are you using that with that?
Ooh, I could probably use Consort still, unless that you feel like that might be more of a sway.
It is your choice.
I'm gonna do that from Consort, just because I would rather do that from Consort.
Okay.
Just kind of talking in there like, oh, that's some BS. That's silly goose stuff. There's no way.
Yeah.
To try and reduce our heat.
Go for it.
Fortune roll. I'm gonna keep asking
Yeah.
every time because I have like.
Okay. I don't think Consort's done much for. Oh, Consort does do some for you this time.
Yeah.
You remove 3 heat from your crew with your roll of a 6.
Does that then dig deep into past wanted level, or does wanted level stay with us?
The only way to reduce your crew's wanted level is through incarceration. You either have to turn over a friend, family member, crew member, or contact, or one of you yourselves has to be incarcerated for your crimes.
Do better, Musket.
Listen.
Oh no, people listened. People did.
The
I heard
problem
it.
was that I did too well. But the great thing is, I am not stressed out at all. So everything is cool. Except for the heat. That's not.
Oh, we'll just turn over Larks. We'll get right out.
Yeah, just put me in for an hour.
Yeah, we just start abusing this system. Oh, Dad's gonna bail her out. It's fine.
And last but not least, our last action for the game will be Mr. Mike Diamond, our slide.
Jin is interested potentially in a few things, but one of the things he'd like to do, having heard some of the chitter chatter about, this particular lord, he's slightly concerned that they may need sort of a religious artifact or perhaps a specific tool, an asset which they do not currently have, in case they have to come face to with this person. So I would like to at least attempt to acquire an asset.
Yes, you can absolutely do that. To acquire an asset, we roll the cruise tier, like we did with John. So that's what we will roll. And that will indicate the quality of the asset that you get. You can spend coin to boost this.
Okay, let's see here. So tier, and then when I spend coin, is that how I get bonus dice?
No, so when you spend coin, you roll your tier, and that'll give us one, like your starting point. You can spend coin to increase the quality of the item.
Okay, so I roll a 3 and a 1, but what I'd like to do is spend 2 coin, if I can, to increase the 3 to a 5.
You can spend 2 coin to increase it to a standard level item.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do.
Or 4 coin to get a fine item.
Ooh, yeah, I don't know. I think 4 coin is an awful lot, but there's no tomorrow anyway, so I'll just spend the 4 coin.
Okay. And what are you trying to acquire? You said like a religious artifact of some sort?
Yes, I am looking for a religious symbol which the spirits of the undead would be repelled by.
Oh, some sort of spirit bane type of thing.
Yes, perhaps something I could wear around my pretty little neck and keep covered up until the time is right.
I will dig through my list of fun little items, and I will find something to bestow upon you while we were talking to people in our next game. And then what was your last downtime activity?
So I only have one stress, and so I don't necessarily, I think, need to indulge my vice at one stress. And seeing as Lark already did the reduce heat thing, which is super helpful, I would like to train.
Which skill, which attribute did you want to train?
Prowess.
Fantastic. And because the smugglers have prowess training, you can mark 2 little XP flags next to prowess there.
Cool, thanks.
And that is where we will end our session for today. Having completed some of these downtime activities, ticked off some boxes, wrapped some things up. And when we start our next session, our crew will begin the very minimal planning for their next heist, and we will cut right to the action again. And we'll see if they can pull off this job for the Hive. As always, we appreciate your listening ears, especially our Patreon backers. Mike, do you have anything else to add?
The one thing I do want to add here is that this game was precipitated because a lot of people have gave us feedback about what they want us to play. And so if you're listening to this and you said, hey, I want you to play Blades in the Dark, we're doing it for you. But if you're like, hey, well, why don't you play this game? We need to hear you. We activate based off of feedback. It's sort of how our little magical world works. So dip into the comments here or any of the places on social media and talk to the Old Ways and let us know what you want us to play. Thanks.
Cool. All right. And we hope that you join us on our next heist.